this is the Zehus all-in-one drive system, and I've actually experienced a derivative of this in the FlyCly. It's a really cool drive system, and they've actually created it to be sort of human powered in the sense that it helps you get started, and then as you're spinning at the most efficient cadence for a human, then it starts to regen a little bit, shave a little bit off the top, and if you pedal backwards, it regens then as well. So it's really, it's more all-in-one than some systems in the sense that you wouldn't need to plug this in ever if you didn't want to. Now, of course, you can. There's a little cap right here. It's nice. It's just got that plug-in. One of the things you'll notice here is that it's got this sort of specialized locker. This has a speed sensor and a cadence sensor, but it also has sort of an angle sensor, so kind of like a gyro in there that senses whether you're climbing a hill or not. It's meant to assist you efficiently, smoothly, all on its own. Now, one of the downsides of this version, sort of the first version, is that you can't add a cassette on it, so you're really limited to a single speed, or if you had like a Schlumpf drive where there's a silver thing, you can kind of click that in, it changes the gearing ratio, or I suppose you could use a front derailleur, but you'd need a chain tensioner, and they have gotten that to work in some cases. So it's just a really interesting setup here. It's about 6 pounds. This bike's about 26 pounds total, and in the different modes, which are controlled through a smartphone app, you can either plan to plug it in and get a little bit of extra help, and it won't take so much energy, or you can set it to the sort of hands-free, never plug in efficiency mode and use that pedal backwards and have it sort of automatically sense. And this thing has really highly rated batteries that are designed to deal with the higher temperatures that you might encounter with the battery, the controller, the motor. Everything is contained inside that hub right there. I did ask if the batteries are replaceable. They said yes, but they're designed to get 3,000 charge cycles. And frankly, the way that this is built, it's never supposed to fully discharge. And it's also sort of protects itself from overcharging. So if this is ever too full and you're doing the backwards pedaling, it might not regen. It might not actually slow you down. Keep that in mind. It's just a really interesting system, and it's not available at this time in the United States because you really do need that specialized frame that can keep the motor just within a degree of being perfectly flat like that, and there just aren't a lot of frames that are designed that way. They're really, right now, they're working with bicycle manufacturers, frame manufacturers that can build this onto their bikes, but it's very cool, and maybe FlyCly is the first iteration of this, but it's not quite as complex and feature-rich as the Zehus system. So I'm just going to hop on this thing, give you some idea of what it's like. You'll notice that it only goes about 15 miles per hour, whereas a fully featured electric bike in the United States typically goes 20 miles per hour. But again, there's no wires to run through your bike. It's all right there in that wheel. And it's sort of shut itself off there. So I'm told in order to get it to go, you kind of pick the bike up like this and kick the pedal. There we go. Now it's activated. I'm going to hop on again because I don't actually have the smartphone app with me. Is this the app right here?
This is the app. So you see here is very simple. This is the slide where you change the power mode. Here we are on e-bike, so conventional pedelec power mode. You can slide it to the Bike Plus power modes, and here is endless capacity.
Right.
Or you can go to bike, so this is a conventional bicycle.
Oh, so no power.
No power.
Yeah.
Or you can decide to be somewhere between the pedelec and the Bike Plus power modes. And so that's the system will say, okay, well, I will give you a bit less power because I need to, extend the range to whatever, 50, 60 kilometers.
And it shows the battery, so you can kind of make a judgment call.
Yes,
right?
So you the battery pack, and then you can change also the brake torque. You can decide if you want to have a strong brake torque or lighter.
When you backpedal for the regen.
Okay. And then you just go back to the main screen where you have also the lock function. So if you stop for a coffee, you just push the lock.
Oh, like a cafe lock. Yeah, like we were saying.
Lock,
so
yes.
no one can drag. They'd have to pick the bike up and, you know.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes, of course. So it's not a full safety, but it's for a short stay.
Yeah.
You know, the bicycle will not move.
It's an inhibitor.
The system will stop.
Yeah.
And so for short stay is good enough.
This is awesome. Thank you so much. That is so cool. You can kind of hear it like soaking up a little bit of that extra speed and turning it back into electricity, charging those batteries on the fly. And it's very responsive. You know, it's smooth. They've got a good mix of, again, like cadence and speed. There's no torque sensing in there, but it does try to calculate that because it's got the gyroscope that's determining what the terrain is like. So it almost feels like a torque sensor to me. The one downside that I've noticed to this bike is that because it's not wired in, it can't sense that I'm, you know, pulling on the brakes right here. And if I'm even slowly pedaling forward and braking at the same time, I'm kind of fighting the motor. So you sort of have to relearn that, oh, I need to start pedaling backwards if I want to kill the motor, or just stop pedaling altogether. And I imagine that could also be an issue if you have a cassette at some point, or that Schlumpf. No, Schlumpf wouldn't have an issue, but if you had a front derailleur, just because you might be shifting gears and the motor might be, you know, it's not really aware. So I'm gonna do this one more time and let you see how the motor responds. Got up to about 15 miles per hour there, and that's when, might have heard it, the motor just sort of stopped assisting because that's sort of its maximum, 25 kilometers per hour. That's the UK limit there. So pretty cool. Again, that's the Zehus system. This is sort of a first look. It's pretty amazing, pretty neat technology.